Well, good evening, and as promised, we are back live tonight to talk about something very near and dear to me, and truly a heart warming story, I guess, for lack of a better word. Heartfelt hug for humanity. That's on the book. So, but before we get started, let me show you. I have my Kleenex because I'm going to cry. And I'm going to pull Chris in real quick, and we're going to talk about his book, 50 States, 100 Days, and I can't wait for you to get it and read it. So let's bring Chris into the mix here. Well, until Chris comes on and signs on with us, Chris Strub is a social media influencer who had this amazing dream and idea to hop in his car and drive around the United States, including Hawaii, and visit 50 nonprofit organizations across the nation. And what the stories that he was able to bring forward are so inspiring and so uplifting. And there are times when I'm down that I reach for this book. So I'm going to bring Chris in real quick, and we're going to get this started. For Chris Strub to join us, the author of the book, 50 States, 100 Days. So I hope everyone's doing great tonight. It's Wednesday, hump day, 4-day week. So that's always great. So, and yeah, I'm looking forward to my weekend. What about you guys? What are you guys doing this weekend? Tell me, share with me. Share this broadcast out if you would. I think everyone would enjoy hearing about this story. And speaking of, here is Chris Strub joining us live from Binghamton, right?
Well, pretty close. I'm down on Long Island now. So I'm downstate New York. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. I'm going to turn up my volume a little bit. Can you hear me okay, Chris?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, well, I did have a boss tell me one time I was the loudest person he had ever met. So I typically don't have too much problem.
I mean, if I had to go through the book and make a list, I don't know.
Well, you know, when you have a twin sister who gets all the attention, you learn to speak loud so you can, get some of that love. No, I'm kidding. So anyway, I'm so happy to be sharing. I was just telling everybody I have my Kleenex with me because I'm going to cry. And I'm so excited about sharing this book and giving it a little sneak peek. Hey, Harry. Hey, Harry Bell. Good to see you. And your story. And do you want to start out talking a little bit about this endeavor, or do you want me to just move on forward? Tell me how you want to move forward with this.
Well, again, just for anyone who hasn't heard the story, I can just sort of tell everyone what the basis of the book is and then maybe let you open up on what you thought about it. But in the summer of 2015, I quit my job as a pizza manager. Ironically, I just had some pizza a moment ago. That's why I was late running over here in Greenville, South Carolina, and went around the country and volunteered with nonprofit youth-related organizations in all 50 U.S. states, including West Virginia, with beautiful Sara McDowell here from Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Central West Virginia. And I wrote the book in November 2015. It started out as an ebook. Just got it published this March of 2017 as a print book, and filled with a lot of the stories that Sara was just starting to tell you a little bit about. So.
Yeah, so, and you can see I've got my book, there's a bunch of bookmarks and I was telling Chris the other day, I have not had the best 2 weeks. And, when you're working in a nonprofit with youth, sometimes there are struggles and worries and concerns, but then there's moments of joy and heartfelt gratitude. And so one of the things that I really love about this book are the messages that people left behind. And so, and again, there's 50 stories in here about some amazing nonprofits. Many Big Brothers Big Sisters. You visited 10 or 11 Big Brothers Big Sisters, right?
I think it was 10. Yeah. think it was 10.
And of course, I'm always happy to talk about Big Brothers Big Sisters, but you also visited with some other really great organizations that I do want to mention if I could, and some of the sayings that I found. Opportunity Village, I know that was one of your favorite nonprofits to visit, and that's page 75 in the book, and the quote is so amazing. Failure is the only opportunity to begin again, just more wisely. And that gives me chills right now sitting here talking about it. So, and the people you met all throughout the United States. And, sometimes in the nonprofit, we get a little discouraged. Funding's tough. We work, we do everything. We're multitaskers. So it's not like, I take out the trash or, and I clean the bathroom in our office. So anyway, there's just some amazing stories. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to start out with first here. Let's see.
Well, while you find that story, Sarah, I just want to point out real quick. Sarah's talking about the quotes, and just to clarify, the quotes, if you don't know the backstory, so I drove a 2007 Honda Accord around the country, and at every place that I stopped, every organization that I worked with, I asked representatives from the organizations to sign the car, to physically sign the car using a paint pen with their best piece of advice for a young person. So by the time the car got to Wild Wonderful West Virginia, Sarah was actually having trouble finding a spot to sign on the car. She made it down to the back bumper. But all the chapters of the book actually start out with the quote that the organization chose to write on the car itself. And so that's what Sarah's talking about with the quotes from each chapter.
Right. And so I really like going to them. And also this book has become a live presence for me. And I mean that because one of the people in the book is Nicole Burdick. And I don't even think you know this, Chris, but I talked to Nicole yesterday. I was, again, having a particular bad day. And she is one of the most amazing human beings on this planet. There she is. There in the Black Hills, and when you read the book, it's one thing, but then when you actually meet these folks and the amazing work that they're doing, it's just, you're so inspired, and sometimes it's a little intimidating because you feel like, wow, I'm not doing very much, and this person's doing all this amazing work. But the other thing about the book that I really like is the raw emotion that you share, Chris, because this was a very arduous journey. Again, 50 states in 100 days in the Hotel Honda. Sometimes you slept in your car. And at the end of the book, at the end of the trip, you were pretty wiped out. And you're very open about your emotions. And that's one of the things I really like about, and one of the things that you promote in social media. And let's remind everybody, one of the bonuses or purpose of the trip was to help nonprofits learn how to best use social media to share their mission and message. And so not only did you end up talking about these amazing organizations that truly do not get enough recognition, but talking about your response to them, the 6-year-old you talked about who wanted to be president.
Abby.
Yeah, and didn't she wrote vote in 2062? Was that it, or
2052? Vote Abby 2052. Yes.
Yeah, 2052. 6 years old. I mean, 6 years old to learn these things, to teach us. Teachable moments for us.
I hear that so often, especially from representatives from Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, who talk about how much the adult mentors learn from the kids, and I can absolutely echo that sentiment from the book. Now, if you read the book, you'll notice I did not work with kids in every state. It just didn't work out. For example, Big Brothers Big Sisters, it's not like Sarah has a classroom full of kids at her office, that this is a one-on-one mentoring program. So when you work with BBBS, you get matched with a kid. It's someone coming in for a day. You don't just go in with a group of kids. but especially
Right.
the places where I did get a chance to work with them. A lot of the Boys and Girls Clubs, for example, BBBS in Peoria when I went to the baseball game with Felix and got a chance to meet some of the littles. Just incredibly special stories and really just magnificent moments that stick with me for my life.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I did a TV show this morning, and the interviewer was asking about, I would think that this actually changes the Big's life. And I said, it's profound what can happen. In fact, one of our mentors tells a story that, he was really struggling to find time to mentor a little. And today he has two littles, and he says it's a privilege to mentor them and be their big brother. And so these are life-changing experiences, not just for the little, but for the big. And just to let everyone know, Big Brothers Big Sisters is the oldest and most trusted mentoring program in the nation. And what we do is very important in today's digital age. It's great, the technology we have, but it's one-to-one mentoring for kids 6 to 18 years of age, to get that personal connection, because 1 out of 3, I believe, children don't have a positive role model. And so by having that personal connection with someone that can give them counsel, that can listen, just literally listen, that can help them navigate the choices they're going to make in life. I interviewed someone today for a job, actually, and she said, I was a big sister. And she said, that's what attracted me to the position. And we knew some of the same people. And it was just, and she's still in touch with her little, who's not, she's grown up now and married. So, but the book is so amazing. I can't read what you wrote because I will bawl like a baby. And our journey has continued as well. Chris and I have become friends. He's taught me a lot. I probably wouldn't be doing this right now had it not been for Chris. And we're working on our strategic plan, which includes a lot of more social media interaction and using social media platforms to share our message with the community and the state at large. So,
well, Sarah, we should mention as well, we had an opportunity to work together in person in San Diego back in June, and where we were the co-hosts of the Facebook Live presentation throughout the week from the Big Brothers Big Sisters of America National Conference. So these ideas and these concepts from a nonprofit perspective, these national organizations are listening. I know, and Sarah and I know that the team at BBBS down in Tampa is listening. I know that the Boys and Girls Club in Atlanta is listening. I know that Girls on the Run in North Carolina is listening, right? So these organizations, again, I just want to say one more thing, Sarah. This is your review, but I want to get this across. When I started researching what organizations I was going to work with along the way and along the journey, I knew I wanted to work with kids. I was 27 years old when I started researching this, 27, 28 years old. I had never heard of Big Brothers Big Sisters. I had never heard of the program until I Googled youth-related nonprofits. And that's a problem. That's a problem, especially from a millennial male perspective, that these organizations need that type of exposure. And the more data we see, the more we realize that we're staring into our phones and we're communicating with each other through these digital channels. All of these organizations, in my opinion, really need to be looking at ways that they can get their message across on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on Periscope, whatever the platform is where all people's attention is going. That's where these organizations must be looking. And this isn't fun and games. This isn't a joke anymore. This can be life and death. And I can't tell you, I've had multiple phone calls with Sarah. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction here. And multiple phone calls with Sarah about hearing her cry because kids in Charleston, West Virginia have died because they don't have these types of mentors and they don't have access to these types of programs that we're talking about. And within my sphere of influence, if you're my Facebook friend, if you follow me on Twitter or Snapchat, you now know what Big Brothers Big Sisters is and what they do and how they can get in touch. And if you read this book, you will know, you cannot get through 5% of this book without knowing what Big Brothers Big Sisters is. And by the time you get all the way through it, I've had people read the book and then pick up the phone and call their local chapter to say, I want to become a Big because of the stories that were told. So to me, this story is about more than just traveling, and it's not just fun and games. It's about saving kids' lives.
Truly, and not even physically dying, of course. But some of these kids are dying emotionally. They're dying spiritually inside because they feel that they're not valued. They don't have someone to turn to, and maybe there's a generational divide. We have a growing number of our kids living with grandparents, and of course, this was across the United States, the opioid epidemic. These are growing issues, not just in West Virginia, but West Virginia has been hit especially hard by this. And so I cannot overemphasize what you just said. And what I wrote on the car was, make a big difference, give a little time. And 4 hours of your month, 4 hours a month is all it takes. And I promise you, you will change not only yourself, but that child will have someone to look up to. And we hear we did a story one time, and a mentor, a little, walked in off the street and said, I just watched your newscast. I was a little, sign me up. And so it is, I really can't overemphasize the difference it makes for these kids to know that someone cares about them, and the courage for parents to say, I'm a single parent, I don't have a lot of time, dad's not in the picture, and my son needs a male role model. I think that takes a lot of courage for a parent to come forward, or a grandparent to come forward and give the trust that they're giving us, to help that young person achieve better academically, and reduce risky behaviors, and all the things that we know mentoring can do.
And Sarah, it's really special to be able to tell a lot of the stories, the success stories, right? The Sara McDowells, the Nicole Bird, and Nicole's chapter in Rapid City has just skyrocketed in the impact that they're having out in South Dakota. Las Cruces, New Mexico. That was one of my favorite stories from the whole trip, getting a chance to work with Dawn, and they had a street fair right up the street. And if you ever make it out to Las Cruces, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yes,
and I was live streaming on Meerkat, and through the course of that live stream, I was able to convince someone who was watching to sign up to become a Big. And I'll never forget that. This was one of the first live streams that I did. This was right after you were actually able to start archiving all these live streams. So I don't know that it even exists even. But I remember that very specifically, holding up the phone and handing it to Dawn and saying, look, he has questions for you about this program. The same way someone would if they walk into your office, or the same way they would if they pick up the phone. And the other point that I want to make, Sarah, that you were just touching on, is it is so special to see these parents and these kids make these connections. But what we have to remember is when we go out onto the street, when we go out into the city, and we say, hey, do you know what Big Brothers Big Sisters of America does? Most people don't. Most people, okay, maybe they know the YMCA. Maybe they know what the Boys and Girls Club does. Maybe they've heard of Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. But the purpose of this book is to bring all of these incredible organizations into the discussion and into your lexicon. Again, you can't read this book and not leave with an education about what all of these different organizations are about. And it's as close to a first-hand education as you're going to get, because I've been on 1,000 live streams. I've been there. I've been to Charleston, West Virginia. I've been to Las Cruces. I've been to these places that are struggling. And that's what makes it so special too, is that no matter where you're watching this book is not 50% California, Texas, and New York. There's 2 or 3 pages about West Virginia. There's 2 or 3 pages about Indiana. There's 2 or 3 pages about Ohio. And it's very much that that equal representation for all, that Senate instead of the House of Representatives. You know, that you read this and you're going to be moved by that story in Wyoming more than anything else, even though Wyoming is one of the smallest states by population in the country.
Right. And you know, that you make such a good point, which I want to emphasize as well, is that, you know, I'm coming to you from West Virginia, you're in New York, but we have friends all across the United States and globally. And so there's no excuse for everyone watching to not get involved with a nonprofit in their community. And the difference it makes, again, is life-changing, not just for that child, but for you. And with all the challenges that kids face today, and especially kids who already have are facing adversity for any number of reasons, that authentic, genuine connection, like you said, is a lifesaver. And it truly makes the difference. I'll tell real quick about one of our littles who came to us when he was 10, and he would not look at me. He would not talk to me, nothing. And we matched him with one of the most amazing human beings that I've ever met. And they were perfect. And at the end of the first year, I believe it was, the teacher called and said, thank you. His behavior, his demeanor, his confidence, everything's different. And it was literally those 4 hours a month that his big brother spent with him, teaching him how to make cookies, of which I never got one, by the way. You know, teaching him just basic life skills to prepare him, and also having fun. I mean, going to the carnival and the corn maze and all those great things, but teaching him those teachable moments. And that's what I think about. And literally, I look at these quotes. Utah Garden, you know, I'm a huge gardener. So Utah Garden, I love that. And I love that quote, help others grow. And don't be afraid to dream, follow your inspirations, by Dylan. That was just beautiful. And I mean, I could go on and on. Don't be afraid to try something new. Follow your passion. Everything else will fall into place. And that's what you did with this book. You followed your passion. And look what it's resulted in today. And I really do hope everyone reads it. It's available on Amazon, correct? Or they can contact you directly.
Yep.
And I will pitch this so that it's saved for the future. But I can't wait for your next trip. I hope there's another trip in your future, because as much as I love Big Brothers Big Sisters, I believe in the cause. Obviously, I work for them. There's so many others out there whose story needs to be told, and they need to be given the skill sets that you can provide to them. And if anyone's listening out there who needs a social media influencer, you know, Chris has skills to really, you know, take your organization to the next level. And that's what we did at the national conference. And we're already looking forward to St. Louis. I am anyway. You know, hosting at the National Big Brothers Big Sisters of America conference.
Well, Sarah, I would add too, I'm really just worried that if I do make it down to Charleston for Bowl for Kids' sake, they're going to have to rewrite all the record books at the local bowling alley. I mean, I don't know how many 900 series you guys have had there in Wild, Wonderful West Virginia, but no, that is obviously not statistically true. But, you know, I want to say thank you for really taking the time to do this tonight, Sarah. I really genuinely appreciate it. I'll have this up on my YouTube channel this Friday, so you can go back and check out this replay and the first 21 reviews, and there have been a whole bunch of amazing ones, including quite a few. I need to add this in real quick by some of our very good friends down in Houston, who I know have been going through a lot. So huge shout out to Christy Gillentine and Rebecca Council,
Adam Brown,
and Elizabeth, and just everyone down there, sending our best. And of course, there's another hurricane coming this week. But I want to leave with one of my favorite quotes too, Sarah, from the book, which is from Los Angeles, actually, from a place called Home. And she wrote, don't let your zip code determine your destiny. Don't let your zip code determine your destiny, right? That I'm broadcasting from New York and Sarah's in West Virginia. but you could be watching this from anywhere around the country or anywhere around the world. And if you hold this book in your hand, you pick it up and you open up to a random page, you're going to read about an organization that's making a big impact where they are. And so even if I didn't visit Big Brothers Big Sisters in your state, you can learn about Big Brothers Big Sisters. Or if you're Sarah and I did come to Big Brothers Big Sisters, but you want to learn about gardening, you can read about Utah Gardens. You can read about Eat South, which is magnificent, right? You can read about the feeding program in Jackson, Mississippi. So this book is intended to cross-pollinate as much as possible and try and prove in a physical form. You know, we think of our city and of our state as this big, huge place, but to me, the United States is my backyard. You know,
yes.
and I really, you know, when you talk about, I hope there's more travel to come in your future. Every time I get a chance to go up on stage, every time I get a chance to meet with people in person. I was at Social Media Day Houston, out in Vegas, out in San Francisco, out in San Diego, of course, in Anaheim. I always try and tell these stories of these nonprofits and of Sara McDowell and of Nicole Burdick and of Vote Abby 2052, because these are the stories that matter so much, you know, and I'm not just saying that because it's my book. These are people whose stories absolutely deserve to be told. And if the book is a way to do that, great. If seeing this live stream and that inspires you to do your own live streaming at your own nonprofit does that, great. But the two of us are jumping up and down saying, get your story out there. And if this book can help you do that, if this book can be a heartfelt hug for you, Sara McDowell, then I have done my job 1,000-fold.
You have, and I'll close on two things. One is that when we are in a society sometimes when there's so much caustic verbiage and bad news going on around us, this book reminds us there are some ordinary people who are doing extraordinary work and saving kids' lives, literally saving kids' lives and feeding the hungry and helping, like you just said, that don't let your current situation or place of residence define your future. Where are you going to be later in life? And I'll add this. I think that what you've done with this book, and I mean this, is you're helping to start changing the long-term narrative for our kids, for nonprofits, and what the impact of these nonprofits have in the communities they are in the states, and in the lives that they touch. So I cannot thank you enough for coming to visit me in West Virginia and the friendship that we have, of course, but the book is so meaningful. So I really hope everyone who's watching now or in the future will pick it up, keep it close by, because literally yesterday in my office, I'm sitting there. It was horrible. I called Nicole. I picked up the book. I read that one quote, and she walked me off the ledge of a really, really bad day. And I have you to thank for that. So thank you for this. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Sarah. The pleasure's all mine, and I can't wait to see you again, whether it's in St. Louis, Charleston, West Virginia, or hopefully both. We'll make it happen.
That sounds great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. And stay tuned. Next Friday on YouTube, I'll be back with another review. We'll see who it is. I don't know.
Ooh, suspense. All right. Well, we'll end on that note. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye. So anyway, that is the amazing Chris Strub, who, as you can tell, I simply adore and am so grateful to him. And, you know, even I'm a mentor, part of a mentoring program, and I'm much older than Chris, but Chris is a mentor to me. He's taught me some things that, you know, about social media and how to use it more effectively. I've always been very technologically inclined, and I had some social media skills, social media savvy, but he's really helped me take it to that next level. And one of the really important things, and before I close, is he taught me about the authenticity, because there were times I would come on and I would start to do a live stream, and I would notice, oh, my hair is not right, or oh, I don't have earrings in. But that's not what people are watching you for. People are watching to connect with you, to hear your story or your message. And so that's what I would close on, is if you are wanting to be part of more of a global conversation, get involved, read the book, and learn how you can make a big difference by giving a little time. And if you're in Charleston or West Virginia and you want to be a mentor, we need you desperately. We have a lot of littles on our waiting list. So give us a call at 304-746-7900 or www.biglittlewv.org. But again, if you're not in Charleston, West Virginia, or the Mountain State, there is somewhere for you in every state for you to make a difference. So anyway, have a great rest of the week, folks, and a great weekend. I'm heading to DC tomorrow, and next week is Tampa. So I'm going to be busy, but yeah, so take care. We'll see you soon.